What is the fresh start effect and how can you use this to benefit your life? If you're tuning into this just as it's being released, over 300 episodes on my podcast right now, The Focus Bee Show, and a very happy new year to you. The fresh start effect is how you can appreciate the new start of the year, maybe a birthday, maybe the start of a month. It's this idea of fresh start, clean plate, can start again from scratch. And this is actually very powerful. So a lot of people do not like New Year resolutions, and that's fine. But actually you're using that initial momentum of new day, new year, new birthday, when there's a new change, and you're using this idea of clean slate, which can be a really, really strong point of motivation. So you can use this to your advantage. What often happens, and maybe you're familiar with this, is that maybe after a month or so, that fresh start effect has diluted quite a lot, and this is when people quit their New Year resolutions, for instance. This is something I'm all too familiar with because I particularly love the fresh start effect. It's something that I love on new Mondays. Every Monday I feel, new week. Sometimes every day, okay, it's a new day, it's a new approach. Definitely every new year. I've always set New Year's resolutions for as long as I can remember, after each birthday, etc., etc. These can be great, and sometimes it has really, really stuck. And of course, as a coach and I work with goal setting, I now have different tools and practices that I can put in place to help me stay on track with this fresh start effect, motivation, which is what we'll be talking about now. Because think of the fresh start effect as this initial boost, this initial fire, but it's not enough to keep you going for a whole year or 2 years or 10 years, depending on the goal and the vision you set. So you can use this initial fire, and it's amazing, and do it because it's very powerful. But know that it won't last. And this is one of the first fundamental concepts here is as you have this initial boost of motivation and huge source of inspiration, anticipate within that what you will do when you reach that plateau. And one of the concepts that James Clear talks about in his book Atomic Habits is the plateau of latent potential. I wrote an article around this, and the plateau of latent potential is when you start something off, maybe it's this new hobby, this new activity, this new business, you're all excited, and then you hit a plateau. What that plateau looks like is you're putting in the same amount of effort and work, but you're not getting the rewards that you are expected. At the beginning, actually, when you start, for instance, learning a new language, just learn a few words, you can do a couple of sentences, it's sort of fun and exciting. So you feel this progress quite a lot quickly, but then you're putting in the hours and you're still at the same point. I remember when I was learning Swedish, felt I was on a plateau for years. It felt I wasn't making any progress, even though I was listening to Harry Potter in Swedish and going to one-on-one classes and trying to read and have conversations, but it just felt like it wasn't moving. And then one day it picked off. And this is what happens after the plateau of latent potential. In this plateau phase, do not quit unless it's something that's not aligned and you really don't want to do anymore. That's different. But if it's something you really believe in and that you're interested in, but you're just discouraged by the lack of progress, quitting, well, then you don't get there. Know that this plateau is testing how much you really want it. How much do you really believe in it? How much are you willing to put in the work without seeing the results? And when you stick through it, then things pick off, because we all go through a plateau in any new skill that you learn, in any new area, whether it's in your business, a hobby, different activities, sports. If you haven't exercised, for instance, in the last decade and you suddenly start going to the gym, be really, really tough the first week or two. But then the first 3-4 months, you'll notice making huge progress really fast. And then after 6 months or a year, plateau. Because suddenly your body is getting used to the exercise and you don't really see a difference in your body or your stamina, or maybe you're not able to lift weights that are stronger or heavier than before, and so you don't feel any progress. But as you continue to develop, at one point it kicks off again. So in any given area, we will reach a plateau. When you have this fresh start effect at the start of a new year or after your birthday or whenever you can use this feeling and this emotion, know that there will be a plateau. Whatever goal you're setting, whatever ambitious project that you have, you will reach a plateau. So in this moment, with that fresh start effect, already anticipate what will you do when you reach the plateau and what can you put in place now to stop it, to prevent it, to not exactly prevent it because the plateau will happen anyway, but to ensure that when you go through that plateau, you will stay motivated, you will stay on track, and you will continue and persevere in spite of the lack of apparent external progress. You'll still be progressing. The plateau doesn't mean you're not progressing, but it doesn't look like it on the outside. For instance, learning a new language, you might be learning new words every week, but from a conversation perspective, it'll feel just the same. Exactly the same in the gym. You might not be able to lift heavier and stronger weights, but you're building the habits, the discipline, and your body is getting stronger. Just doesn't feel like it on the moment because from an external perspective, things don't look any different, but progress is still happening. It's an illusion. I'd say the plateau of latent potential is an illusion because it doesn't look like there's any progress, whereas deep down there is progress that is happening. But we want to be able to persevere in spite of not seeing actual progress. Coming back to this notion of fresh start effect and how you can use this and anticipate the plateau and what you will do, there are a few tools and techniques you can put in place. One of them is the habit tracker. Depending on your type of personality, this might suit you, this might not suit you. Some people hate habit trackers, and that's absolutely fine. Some people swear by them. I know that for me, a few times the habit tracker and having streaks has really helped me to persevere and to build a habit. One example is with meditation. I have a streak over 1,000 days where I have meditated every single day. I use Insight Timer as a meditation app, and this has really helped me to stay on track when I was sick or traveling, to continuously build this meditation practice. Because one day I decided that this was one of the most fundamental habits in my life, because it helps with my emotions, it helps with clarity, it helps me be compassionate towards myself and others, it helps me to deal with stress. All of these things are just too many benefits of meditation, and I decided I would be consistent with it, and Insight Timer helped me stay on track because I believe in not breaking the streak. If that's not your thing, it's not going to motivate you, but it motivates me. Same with 10,000 steps every day. I do 10,000 steps every day. It's been over 6 months, maybe 9 months now, and this is just a habit, and then I just have this principle: do not break the streak. If this isn't your type of motivation or your thing, this may not work. Equally, habit tracking and seeing the progress every day can be extremely motivating, especially if there's certain habits you really want to have in your life, or it can feel like a chore and you hate it. So pick and choose. See if it works for you. Give it a try. Experiment. And look, is this a tool that you like? If you have quite a rebellious character and personality, you might not like it and you might want to destroy it. Then you might want to explore other tools that can help you to stay on track. Another system is to have an accountability partner. If your accountability partner is someone that you highly respect, that you get on well, very well with, maybe it's professionally or a friend, and you don't want to disappoint, this can really help you to stay on track with your goals and continue progressing by having some form of accountability agreement. What's important here is either find someone that just holds you accountable, and if you slip, maybe you pay them money, or some people say pay money to a charity you don't believe in. That can be a system. I've never used it myself. Be careful though when it comes to accountability partners that you're not holding each other accountable for stuff and then they slip. So either find someone who is likely to really stick with their goal and you hold each other accountable, or just find someone that holds you accountable, and it doesn't have to be both ways. Because I've noticed that if you choose an accountability partner, and I've done this in the past, where we both said we will finish a project by a certain date, and the other person doesn't do it, it gives you a sort of subtle feeling of permission that you can get away with not doing it also, because they broke their promise. So it's quite tricky when it comes to having accountability buddies. You need to have the same pace and to have a strong ethics behind it. This is quite important. So what have we explored so far? The habit tracker, the accountability, overall your peer group. Your peer group is so important when it comes to this fresh start effect and motivation. Depending on like what area you've decided to focus on or create change or transformation or the goal, find a peer group that's aligned with this. For instance, when I got into running, I was really looking for a running group, because then you see each other every week and it gives you this sense of accountability without having an accountability partner. If it's business-wise, find a business accelerator, a business group. These things really help us to stay on track in the hard moments. No, it will be hard at some point. When we're all excited and it's a new year or after a new birthday or whenever it is, we feel this high energy and we forget how hard it is, which is great. That's where the motivation comes from. But no, it will be hard. and put in place, okay, what can I do now while I'm all excited and feel that it'll be amazing and super enthusiastic? What can I do now and what can I put in place now that will help me in the hard moments? So this can be the habit tracker, this can be the accountability partner, this can be the peer group, find an environment that is working on this same project and goal. This can also be a coach or a mentor. I have used this a lot when I have a new goal or ambition. For instance, it can also be a teacher. When I was working on my Swedish, I had an individual Swedish teacher. When I wanted to work more on my singing, and that was important for me, I had a singing teacher. I fundamentally believe that these are some of the best investments we can have in our life. I believe in leading a less materialistic life as much as possible and investing in our own skills and own growth. I don't have a television, for instance, and I feel that my money and time is better spent learning how to sing. But this is a personal choice. I'm not saying this is what everyone should do, but I feel this leads to greater fulfillment in my life. It was just to illustrate, because I think sometimes people think, oh, but it must cost so much money paying for an individual singing teacher, but maybe a whole year or maybe 6 months of singing would be the same price as one TV, for example. I don't know. You'd have to do the maths. But it's all this to say, where are your priorities when it comes to how you spend your time, how you spend your energy, how you spend your money, and do they align with things that really bring you joy? This is a whole other topic, to be honest, but it's kind of important when you're looking at your fresh start effect and you're kicking off a new project. Is this aligned with your time and energy? And how can you invest time, energy, money to reach the goals that you're excited from this fresh start effect? So what have we explored so far? We've looked at having a habit tracker, an accountability partner, a strong peer group, being coached. And one of the other core aspects is when you know that you're going to reach a plateau, is having a supportive also environment, but different from the peer group. Environment in terms of podcasts, books, videos, and have them easily accessible. If you're focusing on a specific project or a specific goal you're excited about, buy those books, put them ahead, or look up those podcasts, pin mark them, and then have them there when you start to feel your motivation is dwindling. Put these systems in place, anticipate, think it through, and think what is going to get in the way when I feel a bit less motivated, when it's end of January, when it's February, when it's, 2-3 months after the big birthday. What will I do then? And I feel that if people always thought about this when they set their New Year's resolutions, and they actually took baby steps and actions, created maybe their habit tracker, wrote down the goal, found a coach or mentor or a teacher, a peer group, then people would reach their goals. These are all strategies that are available to all of us. Some of them don't cost any money, listening to a podcast. And some books are free, for instance, also. Having a peer group, an accountability partner, asking one of your friends to be an accountability partner for you. These are things that we can all do, but we forget. Or we're under the illusion that, oh, I've got this. I'm super motivated. It'll be different this year. I've got this. I don't need the support, the environment, the peer group, the coach, the podcast. This is all too much. I've got this. Fine. Some people do. Some people manage without all of these things. That's great. But if in the past you've thought something similar and you haven't managed, then maybe you can learn from that. And if in the past you have managed, what did you do? What helped you? What was it, an accountability partner? Was it having a strong peer group? Was it tracking or not breaking the streak, like some of the tools I use? I feel we're so much more inclined to be motivated and encouraged when we have this support in place, and we're so much more unlikely to stop and quit when we anticipate all of this. Being naive and believing that we have everything we need, we do, by the way, have everything we need within us, but thinking that we will necessarily manage all of these plateaus is sometimes a bit delusional, because if we have struggled in the past and if we haven't managed New Year's resolutions or big projects in the past, what makes it different now? But what makes it different is putting all these strategies in place and having a system that we anticipate, and we actually pause and think, why is the goal important? Which I haven't mentioned so far, but obviously when you have these New Year's resolution and goals and projects and ambitions, why does it even matter? Being super clear on the purpose, super clear on why this is important for you. And then what are you going to do to ensure you meet this? And this having a certain strategy or plan in place. And what is your support group for when things get hard? What are certain things you will put in place to manage the obstacles along the way. And if you want to work on scaling your own projects, on growing with ease and focus, I'm excited to say that now in January I have a few slots open for a couple of entrepreneurs, founders who want to work one-on-one to break through certain plateaus that they're struggling with and to make the most of this fresh start effect. So if you're interested, check out the link below in the comments, and looking forward to hearing from you. If you have any questions, any comments, any thoughts about today's episode, I would absolutely love to hear from you in the comments below. Wishing you an amazing day, and thank you for tuning in.